So let's talk on this and a few other stories as well with Annabel Denham, Deputy Comment Editor at the Telegraph. Annabel Denham, hello.
Hi, Em.
How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Oh, good as gold at this, and nice to see you again. 2,000 people in 1 week and we barely blink anymore.
That's true. I think that we've become, it's all become normalised, really, to people in Britain today. The numbers are so enormous. They're coming over here with such regularity that we've just adjusted to this. As I say, it's been normalised. I mean, the fact that 600,000 people came last year it's a massive figure. And if we'd been told in 2013 that was going to happen in 2022, I don't know that we would have believed it. And yet the figures just keep going up and up. And Rishi, like you said, promised at the start of the year that he was going to stop the boats. Now, on that, he was clear, although he didn't actually say how many boats he was going to stop. So I suspect that if there is a reduction in the number of people who come across the channel in these boats in 2023 compared with 2022, then the Tories will probably try and cling on to that as some kind of triumph. But
it's going to be a small number, though, isn't it?
Yes, if there is a reduction, it will be pretty minuscule. But, nonetheless, the guiding philosophy of this government seems to be to go out and tell the public that they are going to fix something, possibly something that's a thorny issue that previous governments have failed to fix. But nonetheless, they're coming out and they're saying that they're going to do something. And then within weeks or months, they've backtracked and we're back to where we started, except that the public faith in the government's competence has been ever so slightly eroded, and their electoral chances as a consequence of that have slightly diminished, or diminished even further. And to your question about whether we ought to just accept that we have open borders now, I think that there is certainly an argument for that, because that is essentially what we have.
Sure.
People are coming to Britain. A very small number of them are being deported back to their country of origin. We cannot seem to get them to third country. The Rwanda plan just simply hasn't got off the ground. Now, of course, some of these people are genuine refugees, and Britain has a long and proud history of welcoming asylum seekers, and we ought to stick to that. But we should also accept that a lot of these people are economic migrants who are perhaps jumping the queue, who are coming here illegally, and they ought to be deported and try to apply to come and work in Britain through the usual visa channels. But I think if we say that we have open borders, we also should accept that the pull factor is probably going to increase.
That's true.
Tenfold, and the government has completely failed in this. Now, it isn't an insoluble problem. What we either have to do is make ourselves, for whatever reason, such an unattractive place to come, perhaps because it's clear that we will deport people once they come here. We'll stamp out the smuggling trade by making it clear that their clients are not guaranteed safe entry to the UK and to be able to remain here. So either we can make it a less attractive place, or we deport people who come here and we stop them from coming through those means.
I mean, it's fairly, a lot of people would argue it's fairly unattractive at the moment. I mean, a lot of things not working properly, big old waiting lists on the NHS, schools are falling down, all manner of other issues that are with prisoners on the run and goodness knows what else. I mean, you wonder what the pull factor is for this place.
Well, that's true, especially as these people are coming from northern France. Why is it that they find France insufficiently commodious? But, at the moment, the government does seem to have just been relying on bad weather. We've now got a spell of good weather with calmer seas. It's inevitable that we're going to see a surge in the number of migrants crossing the Channel. We know that late summer, early autumn tend to be the busiest months for those crossings. So I think we can expect the numbers to go up and up. One thing I would say is, while this is extremely uncomfortable for the Conservatives, Labour have not come up with acceptable solutions, to my mind, to this problem. They have said that they would clear the backlog. Well, how are they going to do that? Because there are 170,000 people on it, and the Tories haven't managed to clear it. They say that they would have better relations with France to stop people from being able to leave northern France to come to southern England. Well, again, the Tories have tried that. They have thrown money at that problem. But the fact remains that there isn't much in the way of incentive for the French authorities to stop people from coming over to England, where processing these people and so on, it becomes our problem.
Sure.
So I think that either, as you say, we accept that we have open borders, we create far more safe and legal routes for people to come here, or the government has to be bold and has to say that we're going to leave the ECHR, that we're going to leave the Geneva Convention. The idea that this puts us on a par with Russia or Belarus is clearly absurd, because there are countries like Canada and Australia which are welcoming places for people to move to, people to migrate to. And we get the Rwanda plan off the ground, perhaps the Central Island plan off the ground, and we properly tackle this problem. But, at the moment, voters are going to feel terribly let down.
I think so. And one has to wonder that if the Labour Party are successful at the election, which all the polls suggest they will be, that you can almost see that word amnesty coming down the tracks at 1,000 miles an hour. But we'll wait and see on that point. A couple of other stories, Annabel. King Charles' message that marks the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's passing is rather short and brief. I thought there might be a kind of a broadcast message from the King on this, but he has talked about her devoted service and all she meant to so many of us. It was a very dignified message, but very succinct as well.
Yes, and I rather like that, actually. He wasn't sort of trying to make it about his reign. It was a short reflection on his mother's time on this earth, nearly 100 years, a life, as he said, devoted to service. I think it reflected the admiration that we all have for the Queen. I find it quite incredible, really, that a full year has passed since she died. And, I think that the transition to the new Carolean age has been very smooth as we could possibly have hoped it to be. A year ago, we were worried about divisions within the royal family, whether Charles would be able to heal those. Harry and Meghan were causing various stirs, controversies, airing their dirty laundry about, particularly his childhood growing up in the royal family, the ways in which they felt that they had been let down by the monarchy. And actually, they've been completely sidelined. Harry is in the UK at the moment. I'm not sure why, and I'm not sure anybody particularly cares. No. And meanwhile, there hasn't been a massive decline in support for the monarchy. Charles has gone out and done a vast number of public engagements with Queen Camilla. So, as I say, I think it's gone as well as it could have done.
There it is. Annabel, we stop there for no other reason